Hello everyone and welcome along to today's video. It's Christmas Eve, it's almost Christmas and Doctor Who's almost back. So yes, it's less than 24 hours until Doctor Who finally returns, so I thought what better than to do a quick preview video just letting you know what we know so far about the return of Dr. Mysterio and if I think it's going to be any good. Now apologies if my voice sounds a bit terrible, I've got a bit of a cold so I'll try not to sort of choke to death during this video or whatever, but we'll see how it goes. So this episode, this Christmas special, the return of Dr. Mysterio, it's a sort of, from all the quotes and stuff we heard about it and seen, it's a superhero, essentially, idea behind it, based on sort of some of the older sort of superhero movies, I think from sort of when Peter Capaldi was a kid, I think that sort of era. And I think it'll be... It's clearly going to be a lighter episode than Series 9. I mean, well, The Husband's River Song was fairly light, but compared to that actual series, it's going to be a fairly light story, I think. It'll probably not. It won't be too serious. It'll just be a fun hour of Doctor Who, I think, rather than anything too over the top, too serious. Reading some of the little pre-reviews, advanced reviews, that kind of thing, it sounds like it's pretty much going to be like that. It sounds like it's going to be fairly standalone, with a few references and maybe the odd open plot point for the rest of the series. I'm not quite sure what that'll be, but it sounds like it's a fairly just simple standalone thing, which is I think what you need at Christmas, because more people are going to watch than normally do at Christmas. Just sort of people who don't really watch Doctor Who will just watch it because it's Christmas, so it needs to be easy to get into. And I do hope that it turns out to be good. Now, of course, one of the most hotly debated points of this Christmas special and Series 10 is the return of the mighty Nardole, played by Matt Lucas. Having been in one episode in a small part back last Christmas, he's already become a meme, which is quite good, the Nardole meme. I don't know how to feel about them. I quite like having sort of comedy, light relief characters in there. I know it can kind of undermine some of the main characters a little bit sometimes, but I think that we need to give it more of a try, sort of give it a try before judging in that sense. I mean, that's a problem with a lot of the Doctor Who fan, and they'll just watch a 2-minute clip and say it's terrible, like the clip for this special, the Back Children Need Time. It was like a 2-minute clip with a score, with just sort of stock music from old Doctor Who episodes stuck over the back of it, without all the finished CGI. People watched that out of context clip and said, oh yeah, definitely the Christmas special is going to be terrible. It's not really the way to sort of look at something, I think. You need to at least wait until you've watched the episode before passing judgment. Yes, fair enough, if you watch the episode and it's not for you, say it, but don't do it based on a 2-minute dodgy clip. I think it's not a great shout. So, but with Nardole, it's the same sort of feeling that he could be quite good. I mean, he was only meant to be a one-off character back last Christmas. So, I mean, 2015 Christmas, you know what I mean. So I feel like he'll have a bit more sort of development and interest in the character this time, because clearly he was just meant for one episode, just to sort of a little bit of light relief, who was then going to be killed off at the end of the episode, essentially, or have his head cut off. Whereas now he's actually going to come back in a bit more of a serious, full-on role. Probably apparently he's going to be in every episode of Series 10 in some sort of role. So we'll sort of see how it pans out in Series 10 and how much he's actually in it. I'm not quite sure, to be honest, but we'll have to wait and see on that. And yeah, with Nardole, I hope they do give some... Apparently they're going to give us some explanation of how Nardole got his body back, because his head kind of got chopped off from his body, I think, in last Christmas special, and now it's all back together. So I believe there's going to be something of an explanation of that, but I'm not quite sure how much we'll get, really. So from what I've read and seen in this episode, there's sort of, you've got them, it's going to start off with kind of a scene focusing on a young, because we've all seen the ghost, he's called, the superhero dude in the slightly dodgy superhero costume, but I sense that might be intentional. He's meant to be a slightly poor superhero in that sense, not a very good one, or sort of a Doctor Who superhero, let's put it that way, that's not going to be high budget, shall we say. And apparently the episode sort of starts off with a young version of that ghost guy, the superhero, who then, like, sort of, the Doctor accidentally gives him superpowers, something like that. I read in one of the preview things. And then we come sort of, after the pre-title sequence, we come to the sort of present day time in New York. Something's trying to take over, something to do with world leaders and stuff, I think, and sort of destroy them, or massive businesses, that kind of thing. And it's all related to this company called HS, or Harmony Shoal, I think it is, who were somewhat in the last Christmas special last year, where they had the ones where you could tear off half their face. I think it's the same villains kind of back again in some some way. I'm not quite sure exactly how that's all going to play out. I mean, I'm going to watch Husband's River Song again tonight just to try and remind myself of actually what they were and what was going on there, because I haven't watched that episode. I think I've watched it twice overall, once since last Christmas, so yeah, I'm kind of need to just remind myself, but yeah, I don't know how that's going to turn out really, but it'll be interesting to watch, I guess. And a few other kind of general thoughts to say that I've read about on this kind of thing and looking all over the internet and whatever. Essentially, it's not really a Christmas, but it's not a Christmas special in that sense. It's just a Doctor Who episode on Christmas Day is the main sort of thing. The pre-title sequence is a little bit more Christmassy, but once you get past the titles, apparently it's basically just a Doctor Who episode that's just being put on Christmas Day, which is fair enough. I think sort of superhero movies, they often show lots of movies on Christmas. Well, they always do. So having a sort of superhero movie style episode, I think is quite fits quite well with having it on Christmas Day. Matt Lucas is in the titles now. He's going to have his name. We are going to see the name Matt Lucas on the titles of Doctor Who. So, yeah, all those people who don't want to see him, enjoy that. That'll be fun. It was also interesting to note when I think it was last week or sort of a few days ago when they had this press screening and preview screening for the episode. It was amazing how positive the response was on social media from people who'd been there. It wasn't all people who you felt had to say it was good in that sense. There were sort of across Twitter and stuff, there were quite a few comments from people who'd been to the screening that evening. I remember Katie Manning, I mean, okay, I'm not quite going to take Katie Manning's word as read, but she did say it was the greatest episode ever. So I'm not quite convinced of that, but there you go, Katie, you can have your opinion. And what's his name? Tom Spilsbury, the guy who writes sort of Doctor Who magazine, who's the produces that, he said it's his favourite episode ever, I think, as well. And there were just a few other comments, I think, what's his name? I can't remember. Lots of people who had been to that thing had said it was amazing, which I thought was quite surprising. I mean, maybe it was just they were told to say it's amazing, to make sure let's hype it up and make sure people come and watch, blah, blah, blah. So I don't know what to think, really. I mean, other people doing more kind of just sort of journalisty type previews have been a bit more sort of, not saying it's terrible, but kind of not quite as raving about it quite as much as these guys have. So we'll have to wait and see quite how that sort of actually turns out, if it's any good or not. I think I saw one person saying about how it's being overhyped a bit, which I think is kind of natural when we've had no episode for a whole year, that you are kind of going to end up with potentially quite a lot of overhyping and saying this is amazing just because it's Doctor Who, it's been a whole year, this is amazing kind of thing, rather than actually is this episode fundamentally a good one or not, and how do you define good, of course, as well. That's completely subjective. So I'm optimistic. I think it will be a good episode. I mean, maybe I'm just too of an optimistic kind of weird F1 Doctor Who fan who doesn't sort of loves every episode in some way. Maybe I'm just that, I don't know. And finally to mention, make sure you stick around at the end of the episode when you get the credits on, because there will be a trailer for Series 10 of Doctor Who. I believe there's about a minute long trailer somewhere at the end of the episode, presumably, I'd imagine maybe after the credits. That's usually how they roll with that kind of thing. So make sure, if it doesn't come on straight after the episode, make sure you stick around to the end of the credits, because I can guarantee you there will be a trailer for Series 10 at the end of the episode. And spoiler alert now, there are Daleks in the trailer. And well, there's not really too much more for me to say about this episode. I mean, I purposely tried to not read loads about it. I did read, because with Series 9 I read quite a lot and followed the filming quite a lot and all this kind of thing, whereas with the Christmas special in Series 10 I've been very much more sort of ignoring and avoiding any filming news and that kind of stuff, just to be a bit more sort of spoiler-free going into the series. I thought it would be a bit of a better way to do it. So that's what I'm trying to get with this episode, and that's why I haven't got loads to say about it at the moment, because I just don't know loads. Which is a nice thing to look forward to, because although we know it's kind of a superhero-based storyline, we don't really know quite what's going to be going on through most of the episode, other than there's going to be some sort of superhero. There's a superhero in it, it's set in New York, and there's some sort of invasion with aliens. That's about all we know, sort of obviously, about it. And Nardole. Don't forget Nardole, the mighty Nardole. So I think the best thing I can say is go into this with a positive mindset and an optimistic mindset, because I know there's a lot of criticism about Doctor Who at the moment. I mean, the Facebook is the worst for that. I mean, you literally, any post about Doctor Who current, like this special or anything, you just hit the comments on the Facebook page, and it's the top comment with like 500 likes is always something about how terrible Doctor Who is at the moment, and how Moffat's terrible, and how the storylines are rubbish, and how he's been letting down Peter Capaldi, blah, blah, blah. And it'd just be nice to have a bit of optimism and a bit of positivity about the show. So that's all I'd ask. That's all I would say about this episode, is try to be optimistic and positive about it. Don't go into it thinking it will be terrible. Go into thinking about it being good. It's Christmas Day, it's happy time, let's all be happy and enjoy the special. That's the best way to go about things, I think. And there we go, that's about it for this video. I do hope you guys enjoy the Christmas special tomorrow. I'm certainly looking forward to it. As you watch this, it will be less than 24 hours away, I'm sure. It's just over for me at the moment. So I'm just going to be sitting down the TV tomorrow, 5:45 PM, ready to sit back and finally watch some Doctor Who again for the first time in 365 days. 366 days, ignoring the 2-minute special thing we had in April, which wasn't really very good, and Class, which was okay. So yeah, that's about it for this video. I will say that I'll do my best to get a review of The Return of Dr. Mysterio. Such a long-winded title. I'll try and do that review as soon as I possible, hopefully within the next week. It might take a bit of time, because I'm seeing family, all the Christmas stuff is going on obviously, and work and whatever. So it might be a few days after Christmas, but I'm aiming to get it done by the new year. And I'm also hoping to be able to do an episode of music for it as well, because I'm sure I've heard little sort of snippets of the score from Murray Gold, and it's already sounding really, really good. So I'm really looking forward to hearing what Murray's done with this episode as well. He can always make a bad episode good in my view, or at least make it sort of passable, let's say, a really bad episode. So I'm sure that he'll do another good job with the score again this time, and hopefully I'll be able to edit it together for you to all listen to. Well, that's about it from this video. I'll see you again very soon. Remember to like, subscribe, and happy Christmas from me. Goodbye.